When the Vita was announced, it was especially exciting for the potential of being able to play shooters on a handheld using the Vita's 2 analog sticks. One of the main criticisms of the PSP was the lack of a second analog stick, which impacted the gameplay of 3D and first-person games played on the system, although some developers did find inventive ways to compensate for the missing analog stick. The Vita's diverse launch lineup covered most gaming genres, and with Unit 13, Sony had a game to demonstrate what a console-quality shooter would look like on a handheld. Unit 13 was developed by Zipper Interactive, a company that was well experienced in creating third-person shooters, after a decade of developing games in the SOCOM series for the PlayStation systems. Zipper was acquired by Sony in 2006 and went on to release SOCOM games for the PS2, PSP, and PS3. They were generally well received, but the last two games Zipper developed before Unit 13, SOCOM 4 and MAG, Massive Action Game, suffered from mediocre reviews. Unit 13 would be the final game the studio would release. Less than 1 month after Unit 13's release, Sony announced they'd be closing the studio. As a swan song for Zipper, Unit 13 delivered in terms of gameplay, but failed to wow critics and gamers. Unit 13 combined the gameplay of a console third-person shooter with the accessibility of a game designed to be played on the go. The core game was made up of 36 military missions of varying length, from short missions taking several minutes to complete, to long missions that took up to 20 minutes. As each level started, the player was assigned an objective to execute as quickly and expertly as possible. The objectives varied based on the mission type, from covert missions that required stealth, time-based missions that required the objective to be completed quickly, missions that stacked multiple objectives, and elite missions that were a combination of other mission types, but without regenerating health. There were also an additional 12 high-value target missions to be unlocked that tasked players of assassinating well-protected enemy generals. As missions were unlocked, players could choose the type, length, and difficulty of the mission they wanted to play next. There was no real narrative to the game. Players took control of a member of the Special Ops Team Unit 13 and undertook missions against enemy forces for reasons not fully explained in the game. A short introductory dialogue set up the objectives of the level before letting players choose how they wanted to complete the mission. Levels were designed to allow multiple routes to complete the objectives. In the absence of a story, there was an arcade-style high score system, awarding points not only for completing the objectives, but for doing so with style and expertise. Getting through an area without being detected awarded players bonus points, while a headshot or stealth kill were worth more points than a standard kill. Each mission also had a ranking system out of 5 stars, i.e. the higher your points, the more stars you acquired, where acquiring stars would unlock the next high-value target mission. Achieving a perfect performance on a level with minimal enemy detection and only stealth kills took time and practice, but it was incredibly satisfying. Different mission types required different playstyles, and so 6 different operatives were available to choose for each mission, each with different weapons, strengths, and secondary items. For example, the marksman used a sniper rifle to eliminate enemies from a distance, the infiltrator used a silenced handgun to avoid detection, and the point man had the most health and used a shotgun to take on enemies at close range. Each soldier could be leveled up based on completing missions and earning points. Leveling up unlocked new weapons and secondary items that were essential for the most difficult missions. The points were awarded differently for each operative, depending on their strengths and the best way to play the character. The infiltrator would get more points for stealth kills compared to the point man, for example. Unit 13 had all the features gamers would expect from a third-person shooter on consoles. Players could take cover behind walls and around corners, grenades and explosives could be thrown at enemies, close-up melee attacks were available to instantly kill and silently kill enemies, and multiple weapons were available to use at any time. Auto-aim helped a great deal in targeting enemies, but timing and precision was still required for headshots. The controls and the feel of the game were set up to be immediately familiar to fans of console shooters. Zipper made use of the Vita's social connectivity features to implement leaderboards for all levels. Players could send their high scores and challenges to their friends or others nearby using the Vita's Near app. While every level could be played cooperatively with another player, and the Vita's inbuilt microphone could be used for in-game chat, co-op was a useful way to level up operatives, and levels were far easier with a second player. The game also had daily challenges that placed players globally in a custom mission, with leaderboards tracked each day, which again was still active for years after its release. As with all the first-party launch games, the Vita's various control inputs were incorporated into the game, but Zipper managed to do this in a non-intrusive way. The front touchscreen could be used to throw grenades or disarm enemy mines. The placement of these buttons was small enough to not get in the way of the action on the screen, and close enough to the edges of the touchscreen to make them easily reachable. The back touchpad could be used to swap shoulders for aiming. Unit 13 was praised for its solid gameplay, levels designed for short gaming sessions that were perfect for a portable system, the ability to play through the game co-op, and really good graphics. Criticisms leveled at the game included occasionally frustrating missions where small mistakes forced players to restart the whole level, for example being spotted by a guard or camera during a covert mission, endlessly respawning enemies, inconsistent enemy AI, and bland environments. The most common criticism, however, was that the game did nothing new. It was a console shooter on a handheld, but it did little to set itself apart from other games in the genre. Arguably though, that was the aim of the game, to showcase the shooter experience on the Vita, but in the end review scores were mixed, leaving Unit 13 with a Metacritic score of 71%. With Unit 13, Zipper didn't just make a shooter. They understood how to utilize the Vita's controls and portability to make a game that took advantage of those features, without compromising the core gameplay. Unit 13 may not have set the world on fire, but it was a good example of the Vita's capabilities, and at the time it was one of the best examples of a shooter on a portable system. Let me know guys, have you played Unit 13? And what did you think of it? Did you enjoy playing it co-op? Leave a comment below, and as always, thanks for watching.